Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to cover the Escape from Kyln update with the event coming back. I believe this is going to be the third time that this event has taken place, and with each rendition of it, they have changed up and added additional floors. So it looks like it's going to be very, very similar to what we've seen in the past two versions. Only exception is obviously now we have the new floors getting added. So previously, I think the highest floor it was you could reach was about cell 46, and they've added these newer sections, as you can see outlined in the yellow box, where we can utilize Orcus or Alpha Flight, or as well the final three floors also requiring Orcus or Annihilator characters. Having said that, the naming is a little bit different too. Instead of Escape from Kyln, now it's going to be Escaping the Assault, honoring here the Omega Assault or Orcus theme that's been taking place for the festivities that's been happening, especially with new raids. Now remember, with this event, this is going to be very similar to the Avengers Tower, Blitz Tower game modes that we've seen in the past, and it is going to be based on a few things, right? It's going to be roster depth as well as how deep you have some of the characters and the quality of the teams that you're going to be utilizing. Now, this is definitely one of my most favorite game modes to take place in, because there's some theory crafting aspect where you're only allowed 3 character squads. So we've done exceptionally well in the past. Previously, I didn't have Spire Society and Cabal built up, so we're going to be adding that gameplay to the guides I've already made, but as well covering what the first 40 floors is going to look like, because that's the content I have right now. And I'm going to link my playlist below for your guys' reference, but we are going to be going through each floor in terms of what worked for myself, and as well showcasing for you guys what is going to be achievable for you to play, and especially if you're a mid-game to end game, where is the peak of how you'll be achieving in this event. Because remember, this event is going to be tied directly to how successful you're also doing in this Escape from Kyln, Escape from Assault event. Very similar to legendary events that we've had as well, there's no cooldown period, so you can actually rip right through it if you have all the characters and teams ready to go. You can't heal up your characters in between the battles, but they do persist, they do carry over in terms of their ability. So just think of it as a Dark Dimension legendary event run, a Scourge run if you will, but it does not reset after each day. You can only use the team once, and so as long as they don't fall, you can utilize them once again and again, right? So very, very similar to what we've seen in these legendary Scourge kind of events. Only difference obviously is the fact that we can only use 3 characters. Cells 1 to 19 is very, very friendly. The first 4 cells is usually what I like to call as the no restriction prep stages, where you want to bring in tunes where you can build up additional turn or 2 for their energy, right? Big ones, like the legendary Horseman, a Rogue, Morgan Le Fay, Red Hulk, just building up their cooldowns is pretty meaningful for the first 4 cells. Val is a big one because you'll be needing Val later on in the Asgardian stages, which is likely going to be a big bottleneck for those that are transitioning from that early stage to mid game because of the importance of Val. Cells 5 to 7 requiring Guardian or Infinity Watch. This is pretty standard. You're up against 35k TCP enemies, so as long as your roster is at least 35 to 40k for each character that you have, it's going to be easy to plow through that. Cells 8 to 10 is Avenger. Plenty of options in the game, so I'm not going to list it out for you guys just because you can plug and play which are your best Avengers and bring them in. Enemies are only 35 to 83k as well. Global skill. This one obviously makes the most sense to bring in Spire Society, as you'll be able to double dip, but there's a lot of good global skill characters as well, and again similar to that 35-83k range to the Avengers. 14 to 16 City Mystic, very, very straightforward. There's a lot of good characters, guys, so I'm not gonna list it all just because you can just choose whatever is best in your roster, and this is the early stages, so typically they try to make this as easy as they can for beginners. And again, if you guys need some sample teams, I have my playlist below if you want to just take a look at what I used. And then finally, cell 17 and 19 I think is kind of the first start of the bottleneck of what you're gonna start seeing some harder content, right? Because these enemies, as you can see, jump from 83k all the way to 155. Again, Val's essential, so that's why if you can build her up her energy. She's still technically an option right now for the Mystic Orcus nodes anyways, until the new Night Stalkers is fully released. So first 19 cells are not bad. This is kind of the true test of your roster, if you will. Next, I would position this as the intermediate to mid game, where you can start kind of seeing those difficulties ramp up quite a bit. Cells 20-22 is Spider-Verse Tech or Spider-Verse Skill, again, if you have Spire Society, you're just gonna get so much value to get through them. This is why they're hands down one of the best teams in the game, one of the first must-build teams in the game. Then you also have the options of utilizing Sinister 6, Superior 6 characters as well. So obviously there's good options there. Cells 23 to 25, this is Global Mystic at gear tier 15, so you'll start seeing a bit of a requirement here for the gear tiers, right? And that's kind of what we noted as well before, but now it's going to be more honed in on these specific sections. Global Mystic, not too bad, because you have characters like Morgan Le Fay, Agatha Harkness, Dr. Doom, Quicksilver Weaver. They're still really good strong options, so definitely take advantage of that. But these enemies, as you can see, are all around that 190k range, so you can't be min-maxing them, especially with the gear tier requirements. You have to have them at those minimum levels. Thankfully, many of these characters are already needed for the Apocalypse and Sagas, so if you've already built up the value there, they're going to be able to pass on that here as well. Cells 26, 28, Villain Mutant characters, gear tier 16. So this is where we start ramping up quite a bit once again, and we're utilizing some of the key staples of the Apocalypse Saga: Apocalypse, Omega Red, Archangel, Dark Beast, Nemesis. Those are some of the options there, but there's a lot of good Villain Mutant characters that you can take a look at what's best in your roster. But Apocalypse is probably going to carry if you have him already. And then Cells 29, Hero Tech, gear tier 16. Pegasus makes the most sense. Even though they're dated right now, they still have hands down the best synergy for the Hero Tech area, just because of how well they function together, and especially if you have Rescue, she can bring in the Revive as well. So Cells 20 to 29, a good measuring stick for where your intermediate roster should be. Cells 30 to 40, this is where I would classify it as endgame roster. You're going to probably need some built-up characters. Those of you that already completed Dark Dimension 6, maybe already, in the midst of Dark Dimension 5, and as well as close to completing Dark Dimension 6, you're going to be doing really well in this area. The only exception would probably be the final cells here, where Villain Bio having Super Scroll is almost essential in my honest opinion, so that's going to be a good kind of roster check for yourself. So cells 30 to 31, still a continuation from the previous cells, utilizing the Pegasus team. Kestrel and Rescue are basically essentials, and again, you'll be getting a bit of value because they're still providing some supplementary value in the Orcus tech nodes if you don't have them fully unlocked yet on your team. Well, you're going to still get a little bit out of them. Gear tier 17 is as high as you'll need, so that's good. You can stop right there. Then next up we have X-Men at gear tier 17. Extreme X-Men makes the most sense. Still one of the best teams in the game as well. Take advantage of that. It's actually really streamlined with them. Cells 35 to 37. This is where it gets interesting because you have to pick and choose some of the best legendary characters. We have Black Cat, Nova, Green Goblin Classic, and as well as the Horseman. So the good news is that there's a lot of good options. If you already completed Dark Dimension 6, you're probably going to have a buffet of options just to rotate in and out, which is obviously making those nodes a lot easier. But I would say the true check here is the cell 38 to 40 being Villain Bio or Undying. Now, Undying is not required because if you have some synergies with, some Hive Mind characters like Carnage and Venom, I use Red Goblin, Super Scroll's big. There's also other options like Moonstone, Titania, and as well as Abomination. So, not impossible, but Super Scroll definitely puts you over the edge here. Unless you have two SAC teams that are able to go through and kind of interchange these three nodes, that's what I recommend. So that's where I stopped before, guys. This is where I could get to in terms of gameplay, which means following now, there's going to be some new gameplay coming up for this rendition, which is cells 41 to 46. I'm going to be going through Spire Society now that I have many of them at gear tier 18, some of them even at 19. My Cabal is built up for gear tier 19 because I completed Dark Dimension 7. So this is going to be fun to get through, but keep in mind, for cells 41 to 43, you still have options like Black Cat and Craven that can give you a bit of value there if you ever built them up. And Underworld is a good SAC team to use for cells 44 to 46, but I think if you have a big enough Cabal, we're going to be able to one-shot it. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that, which leaves us now with finally the rest of the new content here being Orcus and Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight, most folks are probably going to have already a gear tier 18, especially going through the Spotlight Raid, so it's going to be interesting to see if we actually need Orcus. I'll keep you guys up to date when I go through it. Obviously, I only have a few members of Orcus built up, so Orcus won't be saving me here. It's going to be Annihilators and Alpha Flight. And most folks, if you guys are engaged in Arena like myself, will have already Annihilator characters at gear tier 19. So it's going to be super difficult, but We'll see how far we can get. Last time we got to cell 40. We hopefully should be able to get to cell 47, 49. I don't know about the cell 50, 52 yet. But guys, as per usual, always consider, what's going to be the ultimate reward at the end. The cost and benefit of the investment. Like I said before, cell 1 to 16 is likely going to be more applicable for those newer to the mid game. 17 to 29, experience mid-game, transition to end-game. 30 to 40 is going to be some end-game rosters, but not deep end-game rosters. Like I said, if you're already partaking in Dark Dimension 6, it's going to help a lot because a lot of those characters built up already are going to be already adding value. And then lastly, cells 41 to 52, I think is going to be top tier end-game rosters because this is where you need to really refine it and make sure you have those set levels and knowing who to upgrade for the end-game content. And I would like to point this out in hindsight, guys. Remember, at the end of the day, how deep do you want to go for the rewards? That's going to be the game plan for myself. There's a lot of good purple ISO ions that we can take advantage of, but we'll see how far we can go. I have a feeling milestone 20 is only going to be achievable if you get to the very end of the event overall. So maybe milestone 18 or 19 will be my mark. But anyways, I'll give you guys an update on how we do, and I'll also be releasing the new content that we have not made yet in terms of the gameplay for cells 41 and beyond. Hopefully this is helpful, guys. Let me know what you think. Comments below what your game plan is. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.